Hello, this is Becca from Willow Hill Designs. Welcome. Today I will be sharing weeks 20 and 21 of K3N's Cloth Tales, Catherine's weekly stitch, and I thought I would show the progress. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm just going to fix that camera. And I thought I would show the progress that I have made on those. This is my little kind of non-book. I'm not going to do anything until I see how thick all of these signatures are. This is my second signature so far, and we're about halfway through, so I'm thinking this is going to be twice the size that it is now. This is the second signature, and let's see. Oh, and before I go into week 20, I thought I would just show that I had added this little stitch to this little portable pocket that we had done for week 18. They're not in order in my pages. I was going in order, but I kind of got off track there. But I just added this kind of a V-stitch around this little pocket. It needed something to me. It was bothering me while I was stitching on this side. Looking at that, I thought it needed a little something, so I just added that going around the edge. But this is week 20, and we were to think that we were in a place like a deserted island, and a mountain cabin sounds beautiful to me. I would be just as happy in a mountain cabin, but I had thought I would be in a cabin. If I had to choose, I would be in a cabin on a bluff overlooking the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, and for me that would be heavenly. It also made me think of the book The Outermost House by Henry Beston, and he spent a year in a cabin on the ocean on Cape Cod, and just all life as it was, and eventually that he knew that the ocean would reclaim that cabin. That was kind of part of it, although I do believe that they preserved that house. So that was my mindset as I was stitching, and Cape Cod, I love Cape Cod, so all of that kind of added to this feel of this little piece here. And I just chose some fabrics from my stash that I thought were very pretty and peaceful to me, that were calming to me. And this is a red and ivory little, I don't know if you can see how pretty it is, just little tiny dots that form the design, and I love that. And so I chose that for the background, and I chose a piece of muslin stamped with postcard, because I could imagine sending a postcard from this wonderful cabin on a bluff overlooking the ocean. And I've received postcards from Cape Cod that are very special to me and bring back also special memories of my stays there. And then I added this little piece of a snippet that was sold on Etsy by Chrissy Crosser. She is on YouTube, and I just loved the image of these little birds, and that again would be heavenly for me to hear the little birds as I was stitching. And a piece of a doily that I added on there, and I thought that would be pretty. So my 8 things, you could only take 8 things. My things were my scissors, my thimble. This is a vintage sterling silver thimble. I have a few of these that I absolutely love that are my favorite, so I'd have to take my thimble. And a needle. I would probably choose a black gold needle. And these are my silk threads, and I took a strand of this, and this is by the thread gatherer, and this color is a bride's blush, and it's a pretty ivory off-white color with some pale blush pink in that. So that is 4 things: needle, oops, sorry about that, needle, thread, scissors, thimble, and then 4 pieces of fabric, 1, 2, 3, 4. So those were my 4 things. And I just enjoyed this. This was a very peaceful stitch. So all I did on here was some little crosses around the postcard. This is a buttonhole stitch that I did on the edge, and then I just enclosed it with a straight stitch along the bottom. So it almost looks like a little box going all the way around. And then in the middle of those, I put little French knots in those. And then I stitched, of course, these are all stitched on invisibly. And then I went around this piece with a running stitch all the way around the doily. And the other elements, I don't know if you can see the running stitches. They're kind of almost the same color as the background. And then I did some stitches, running stitches going out from these points of the doily, and little French knots on the end. It's kind of hidden, kind of not totally obvious, and maybe that's also in relation to these little gems, these places that you find that are not totally obvious, but when you find them, they're gems. And I would think of the house on the ocean, overlooking the ocean on a bluff, would be one of those gems. So I just wrote on here, stitching in a cabin on a bluff, overlooking the ocean, heavenly. And everything, and enjoying a cup of coffee. That would be perfection for me, and this is week 20. And then for week 21, just fix that. This was doing a sashiko that results in boro. And I went on YouTube, according to Catherine's recommendation, to listen to Atsushi, a Japanese man who explains a little bit about this. And he explains that the stitching on here is sashiko, and the result is boro. Apparently, even the Japanese have a hard time defining boro. In the past, I would say boro stitching, which it's really not boro stitching. The stitching is sashiko, and boro is the end result of doing the stitching on a piece. So I have several pieces of fabric on here. I chose some indigo fabrics. This is one that I chose from my stash. This is another that I chose. And this is another one. This is that little dot there, a batik. And there's another one here, another batik, which I forgot to grab. And also this one, which is an interesting fabric. This can be used as hills or part of the sky, but there are portions of this on here you can't really see now after all of the stitching. So that was some of the indigo fabrics that I chose. And I used this silk, which is from the Thread Gatherer, and this color is Summer Tan. And I didn't want to use a white or an ivory because I didn't want that to jump out from the fabric. Atsushi said that the thread actually becomes part of the fabric. It sinks in and becomes part of the fabric. So I didn't want the stitching to jump off the page, jump out from the fabrics, but maybe meld a little bit with the fabrics. And so I decided to do a pattern of stitches, 5 rows, 5 rows, 5 rows, and leaving about a ½ of an inch in between those rows. So those run vertically, and then doing some stitches horizontally across, catching all of these edges. And as Catherine says, you do you. I can't. My brain does not work with random things. I don't know why. It just doesn't. I need order. Just part of my personality. I wish I could be a random person, but I'm not. But I can testify to the fact that it does definitely change the feel of the fabric. It has such a nice soft feel, but definitely stronger, reinforced. And I love it. I just think it's really beautiful. I have to say, it's very tedious to stitch. I can't even imagine doing this out of necessity. I did this for enjoyment, but I can't imagine having to do this out of necessity on your clothing. Lot of work. It's definitely, this little tiny piece took me a few nights of stitching, probably 3. And so what I wrote on here was sashiko resulting in boro. This is a method of mending and reinforcing ripped or worn clothing practiced by impoverished Japanese people. There was shame attached to the clothing or fabric that were boro. Week 21, and that's what Atsushi said, that with this clothing, whether it was a jacket handed down from grandfather to father to son, and then grandson and so on, great-grandson, picture us with new clothing, and these things are being passed down that have been worn and torn and ripped and patched and mended and repatched. And heartbreaking, really, to me. And of course, there are impoverished peoples in all cultures. There is mending done in all cultures. But this was one aspect that I didn't really know about. I knew about sashiko, and I knew how eventually women, when they did do sashiko, decided we're spending all this time doing this, we'll make designs, and according to Katie Pippin, I think her name is Katie Pippin, she explained that that's how the designs kind of evolved, from out of necessity doing this and then deciding to add design. So I took a little artistic license here and decided to just kind of add my own design, but you really don't realize the depth of it, what a piece of boro work means and what it meant and what it was to those people. So this was a very interesting lesson, I felt. So here's a little close-up of this, and my stitches are definitely not straight. I definitely have trouble with that. And here's a little close-up of this little one here. These are all such fun to do. And again, a little close-up of this with the little V-stitches on here. So that is, I am up to week 21, and Monday we will be getting a new prompt, and that will be interesting to see what that is all about. So thank you very much for joining me on this journey, and I'm wishing you many blessings, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.